my name's Alex Worley. I'm a product manager at Google. I work in the London office here with some engineers on mobile advertising products. Actually, today I'm going to take a step back from that and talk to you about some of the developments that we've made recently in our core business, search, ads, and apps. I'm sure you all know about Google's mission to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. And yes, that's right, we do all have to learn that. But at first glance, it might seem that when you look at some of the output from Google, it's kind of difficult to tie it all together to make it make sense. But if you dig deep enough really into any product that we make, you'll find that mission at its core. There are some obvious things there, such as web search, product search, Google Book Search, but also kind of less obvious changes, things like Google Chrome, our web browser activities, which are designed to help push web technologies further, help make the web faster and richer for users, because we really believe that the web is a fantastic place for information to live and to be found, and anything we can do to make that ecosystem better helps us to achieve our mission. Now again, the other thing about the mission is it's pretty big. Larry and Sergey are fond of saying that search alone is a 100-year mission. My take, having worked on a little bit of it, is that I think it might take significantly longer than that. But we have some driving principles that help us tackle that mission in a way that enables us to make progress every single day. Those principles are basically that we develop ideas and work out how they come together later. The second thing is to launch early and often and let the world test your ideas. And then the third thing, and this is really the most important thing, is to always, always, always put users first. And so we take those three kind of principles. The way that we tend to try and put those into practice is to have very small teams working on very small projects and give them a lot of autonomy. You may have heard of things like 20% time, where teams can effectively take a portion of their time and work on ideas that they think are breakthrough or interesting without necessarily having to get the executive sponsorship up front. And actually, pretty much everything that I'm going to demo to you today at some point started life as something like a 20% project. It started life with an engineer or a product manager or a Googler in some part of the organization saying, hey, I have this really great idea. Let's go see what we can hack up and see if we can get a great demo together, show it to the execs, and get some more folks on board. Before I do that, actually, though, the team here has put together a really brief video just kind of talking a bit about the last 11 years of Google before I talk about what's going on today. So I'm just going to show that. It gives me a chance to take a breather, and then we'll get into the demos. Glitch of the day. Not entirely sure what happened there. Nope. Okay, looks like you're going to have to just trust me on the last 5 years. I'm sure you've all lived it just as much as I have and the rest of the world. One thing that really struck me as I went through that video and watching that video was that there's so many of those products that have been built over time that I'm really now absolutely ingrained in my day-to-day life, not just at work, which I'm sure you can all imagine, but also at home, and in the lives of my wife and my young daughter, who's going to grow up in a world that's very, very different from the one that I grew up in. So now I'm gonna show you some demos of some of the changes that we've been making to our search business. One of the talks earlier on, somebody mentioned I think the rather anemic user interface of search and how that could be a challenge. It's an even bigger challenge for us because we're constantly trying to add new data to our search index. We have more and more web pages every day. We have books, products, videos, and beyond. And finding that needle in a haystack is an even harder task if your haystack keeps getting bigger every day. So we've tried to make some changes to our user interface to enable users to kind of interact a little bit more with their search results. And what I want to do is demo those to you as a user who might be searching for a product, because I guess that might be close to some of your hearts. Great. So here I am at the Google homepage. I'm going to be searching for a new Canon camera. I'm kind of into SLR cameras, so I'm going to search for a Canon 50D and see what I get. And you can see, from that web page, that's pretty much what we've been showing to folks since that backrub search engine launched 11 years ago. That's one of the challenges is that I think that the founders stumbled upon an interface that works really well. But over time, we've got richer and richer results. You can see here that we've kind of added some shopping results blended in there. And then, we also have one of the additional things that we added recently, which is quite interesting, is we have the ability to take review sites, for instance, and identify the metadata from those and just pull it out into the snippet on this page. So here you can see a link off to CNET, and it's actually showing you the star rating on CNET right there, which is handy, and we have some video results. But what I really want to show you is something that not a lot of folks do. We added it about a month or two ago, which is this options bar. So the options bar, basically, you hit that show options button, and you get a bunch of different ways that you can interact with your search results. So if I'm searching for a product, it's very likely that I'm going to want to think about looking at the reviews of that product, at forums and the like. So I can hit the reviews button here. And what this will do is effectively pull out all of the reviews from our index and start to show those. And you can see here that it's pulled out a nice little quote from this review, which is very helpful for me, and also a bunch of additional links here, kind of that again make it useful, and one extra piece there. I can also, there's a lot of buzz about real-time search and search based upon when content was created. Here, we have a bunch of filters. If I want to know what's been going on most recently with the 50D here, I can kind of say, okay, let's have a look at reviews in the past week and see whether they're different, over time. So that's pretty interesting. The other area that, as a product searcher that I'm going to be really interested in is forums. So reviews are kind of interesting. That's tends to be what people will give to stores, and oftentimes they'll also be talking about their experience in the store. Forums, from my personal experience, have been a great place to find out where people who own and use the product are actually what they're talking about. And so this is again a useful area. One of the challenges here, though, I guess, is that that's the snippets on this page are kind of short, so it's difficult for me to know exactly what's going on. The good news is we have an option for that as well, so I can hit the more text button, and here you can see I'm getting a much larger snippet from this forum with much more information. And so my product search experience as an end user is already much richer. So those are some of the research options that we have. We also have a couple of slightly more experimental options. So you can see right down at the bottom here, we can try and pull out prices from the page. Now this is kind of experimental and only pulls out the odd good result. For instance, here you can see on Amazon we were able to identify that there were 4 different products with prices there. Rather than traditionally with product search, the way that we've done that is through people submitting feeds of this information to us. Here we've actually been able to build into our crawler the ability to understand what's on a web page. And so you can see it's been able to do it there for Amazon and Adorama. And so I can see right there some likely prices of the product that I might be buying. And then finally, if I want to have the full-on super rich experience, I can actually click through to the product search setting. And here is where we have a much more structured experience for somebody to be looking at products. And you can see that the top result here is it has 73 sellers. We have a range of different prices. We've got reviews and the like. So I can go ahead and kind of compare prices on that. And you see I end up at this product page. And one of the big challenges here for us as a company is how do we try and cluster together all of these different results. So you can imagine that the Canon 50D, we saw it in the search results, there's a whole bunch of different accessories that go with it. And we need to make sure that we understand which items to cluster together and which not to. But here we have 64 sellers and 18 reviews. And you can see here are a bunch of the top sellers for this product. Each of them has a seller rating independent of the overall product rating, which is really useful to me. I can understand tax and shipping, the total price. We have little logos here for folks who accept Google Checkout. Here we have all of the reviews data again, both from the crawled index, but also from the submitted feeds. And we have a section here that shows all of the various different metadata about that. Seems like in general people really love this camera, so I think it could be a good option for me. Tech specs. And as was mentioned, I think in one of the earlier talks, videos. The corpus of videos on YouTube and our ability to be able to cluster those together to provide really valuable information to users who are searching for stuff is super important to us. And here, the ability for people to do product demos in a video, do reviews in a video. Actually, one of these is pretty much showing you, how to set up a specific part of the product, the metering mode. And again, we can kind of also show you links to some of the other items. So that's one of the ways that we can kind of make that search experience on Google.com for products much richer than it has been, hopefully a little bit less anemic, and really help users to decide what it is that they want to do before they end up having to go out into the sort of the big wild web and make their purchase. But it's not just online purchases where we can be, I guess, really helpful to users. I'm personally like to buy cameras from physical stores because you can kind of go in and chat to folks and, really kind of handle the camera before you're going to buy it, especially if it's going to cost me $1,000. So one of the new innovations here is the ability to go to Google Maps. And here I'm going to search for camera shop San Francisco, which I rarely can spell correctly, but this time I managed. And everyone will be familiar, I'm sure, with this, with this user interface. You can see the various different stores. One of the things that we added recently, which I'm very excited about, especially as someone who's from the mobile world, is if I now click on Street View for this business, you can see that we've actually marked the business itself in the Street View image. So I can see the road here for the main street in San Francisco, and then when I come back around, I can actually see, there's the business, and if I click on its little item there, I can see the metadata about that. I'm really excited about that from a mobile perspective because I'm really looking forward to the time when I can literally walk down that street in San Francisco, put my phone up and see exactly where I can buy this item. And actually with the open Android platform that we have, people are already starting to build some of those types of functionality into their applications. And I know certainly inside Google we're looking at that technology too. Cool. So that's some ways that search is evolving. The second part of our business that I mentioned is ads. I'm sure that's also very close to all of your hearts, or not, depending upon what CPAs you're achieving this week. But as you look at that page and the richness of the interaction, we at Google, we like to think of ads as just another type of content. I mentioned, the expansion of web search, book search, product search. For me, personally, I believe ads are a corpus just like any other. And we need to think about what's the right way to display the information in those ads to users. And how do we get, ads are a great way for us to shortcut some of this experience, or for you guys to shortcut some of this experience for your end users, take them exactly where you want to take them. And we had some innovations there. This is the point at which the demo is most likely to go wrong, because I have to pretend that I'm in the US on a different browser. I'll probably just start whistling some mood music if things are going particularly badly. Feel free to chat amongst yourselves at this point. So there are three specific ways that I want to show you now that we're changing the ads experience. The first one is that you'll have noticed when I went through the demo on search that oftentimes the actual search results themselves will have more than just one link. And this is because we've recognized that users they often have different needs from the same website. And they much prefer us as a search engine to show them a single link to a specific website with a bunch of subsections that they can navigate to. That's much more useful to them than us taking up 5 of the first 10 results, all with links to different sections of the same website. And actually the same is true of ads. I'm sure a bunch of you have had challenges where you've been thinking, okay, well, I've got these 5 different sections of my store. Now, the way that I have to manage that now is that I have to have 5 different creatives, and I have to target those to the same brand keywords. And if someone searches for my store, normally I'll take them to the homepage or something similar. So what we've tried to do is bring some of that lower level depth to the ads product also. One query that I hope is going to work. I failed. Okay, this is never work with children, animals, or algorithms. I think you've all probably felt the pain of trying to work with the Google algorithm in the past. This is just proof positive that it hurts us as much internally as it sometimes does you guys. Rather than try and run this multiple times, I'm just going to explain to you what this demo should be showing, which is effectively a yellow ad at the top of this page for Chevy.com, which takes actually some of these links that you see in the subsection and shows those actually in the ad. So the ad, when I see the ad as a user, I can either go direct to the Chevy homepage, or I can go to one of their 4 sub-brands that they're interested in promoting. And actually, to me, that's really valuable as a user, because it's likely that I saw maybe a TV ad for a specific model of Chevy, but I don't know whether you can understand many of the brand names that they have for their cars. They're not exactly the most memorable. So having something, having something in the ad that lets me go straight to the page for the Tahoe or the Camaro, like in the ad that I saw, it increases the user's likelihood to say, oh, that's the ad for me, and B, helps the advertiser to kind of help arrive at the right page on their store. Now, given that this one didn't work, the second one isn't going to work either, but luckily the third one will. The second ad is the second option is effectively I'll try, but this is doomed to failure. You'll all have seen Suggest. Suggest is great. I really like it. You can actually type just random stuff into it and see what people are asking about. Is a square a rhombus? No, it's a square. So yeah, I highly recommend, if you have a few minutes at work or at home, just trying the odd random word in Suggest. And that's a much better demo than the ad that I was going to show you anyway. But effectively, one of the things we've noticed with Suggest is that folks really like it because it helps them to navigate to where they want to go as quickly as possible. And so what we're actually trialing in the US at the moment is not just putting search results, search terms in the Suggest box, but actually putting search results in the Suggest box and even search adverts in the Suggest box. So actually, if you go ahead from a US IP address and type Rice Krispie Treats into the Google search bar, then what you'll see is you'll see a bunch of search terms. At the bottom, you'll also see the Kellogg's ad for Rice Krispie Treats that takes you direct to their site. And we're able to use all of our technology to understand what is the user likely to do when they hit our search results page. And if that likelihood passes over a certain threshold, then we can actually say, okay, well, we should just show them this ad right now, because we know with great deal of certainty that when they get to our page, all they're going to do is click on it. And one of our big guiding principles is reduce the number of clicks that users really need. And if we can figure out a way to take them to their answer faster, then we will. Okay, let me switch back here. So the final way that we're trying to make the ads more useful for users is crop circles. Yes, that was today's random Google logo, by the way. Not entirely sure why, but crop circles it is. I think the team that designs the logos, I don't know, a few weeks ago you saw that the logo changed to something to do with UFOs. I think the team has just kind of gone AWOL and decided to do whatever they want with the logos. It used to be that they had to tie it to birthdays and the likes. Not anymore, it seems. So here I'm going to search for a new set of Reebok boxing gloves. And what you can see is in the search results here, the top advert there has a little plus box saying show the products, the Reebok boxing glove products for this merchant. And if I hit the plus on that, I actually see their products right there in the ad. And again, for me as a user, that's really useful. If I'm searching for Reebok boxing gloves, it's not likely that I want to go to Connection Fitness's homepage. It's likely that I want to understand what products they have, what prices they have, and go direct to the page that I want to buy from that. And we actually have a bunch of different treatments for this particular ad that we're trying at the moment. Some where we actually show the product outside of the plus box. We actually show it right there and then. And others where it's hidden like this, but it's a much richer experience. Okay. So final demo that I wanted to do. Actually, I actually have two to do. One is an extra little addition because Philip mentioned it earlier, and it's pretty much a brand new product. So I thought I would kind of demo this to you. This is kind of on the fly, but I think it's very cool. And it's basically the Fast Flip product. This one's not really related to retailing at all, but it is very interesting, and I think it talks a lot to the principles that I mentioned at the start of the talk. Fast Flip is basically a way for you to be able to surf the news on the web. And the team's charter is to try and recreate that experience you get when you're flipping through a magazine for the web. That's really tough. I mean, Google News is a great site, but effectively when you're going through it, you don't really get that feeling of like, what's this article really all about? You don't see the images associated with the article. You don't really get that feeling of like, I'm really browsing here. And Fast Flip lets you do that by effectively showing you these snippets of information. So let's have a look at recent. So if I click on recent here, you can see that there is an article from Elle. Let's go to politics or something random like that instead, eh? Much less interesting. So here you've got the BBC website. You can read the first part of the article. You can email it to someone. You can actually click through to read the full story. But interestingly, you can just kind of flip through the pages as quickly as you like. So this is trying to get that magazine-like experience on the web. And I think the team have done a great job as like an initial proof of concept. And obviously, some advertisers are less than keen on Mr. Obama's healthcare plan there as well. But this is one of the ways that we're trying to help the newspaper industry to really reach their users and recreate some of the experiences that they have offline in the online world. And the final thing that I mentioned, and this is a good segue into it, is that fast flip is really enabled by some new technologies in browsers, most of which actually over the last year or so have been pushed forward by the Chrome browser. So Chrome, when Chrome was released about a year ago or so, it was something crazy like 100 times faster than the next fastest browser at parsing JavaScript, which is really, as I'm sure all you guys know, what makes the web interactive. Actually, one of the most wonderful things about Chrome right now is that over that last year, because of the open source nature of Chrome and because of the competition that it's introduced, it's no longer got anything like that lead. And in fact, depending on whose benchmark you use, maybe it's Safari or maybe it's Firefox 3.5 that's the fastest browser. But the interesting thing is that that industry, that technology, which had started to stagnate, is now getting faster and faster and faster with every iteration. And that enables some really cool things. This is my favorite. If, again, a bit of a time-wasting opportunity, chromeexperiments.com doesn't just work in Chrome, works in Chrome, Safari, and Firefox 3.5 or maybe 3 if you're lucky. Doesn't work so well in Internet Explorer, but let's not talk about that. Effectively, this is just demo. They just demo a whole bunch of different ways that you can now make the user experience on a browser really interactive without the need for Flash. Using purely open standards, JavaScript and HTML, works exactly the same across browsers, doesn't require a download, and does some really cool things. So, I really like this one, where you can just hold and drop these things down, and then interestingly, you can kind of, oh, I've made these a bit big, I guess. Let's double click. So you can move the browser around and the balls know about it, which is fun. And you can move the balls around and they bounce. And there's a whole bunch of other ones on here. And the really interesting thing is that a year ago, that just fundamentally wouldn't have been possible in a browser. Maybe it would have been possible with Flash if Flash was able to take advantage of all of the hardware acceleration in the browser. But the sort of changes that have come over the last year out of the Chrome browser mean that that's now possible in 3 out of the 4 leading browsers, which I think is a great move forward. So that's it from me on the demos. I think only 2 failures is probably pretty good, and I promise to try and get that working for some folks in the Google sales team so that they can demo it to you individually when they next speak to you. And as for that, then if there's any questions from folks, then feel free to ask.
Shoot. Love the fast flip, very cool, like that. The bigger text and the prices in, sorry, save me having to bellow at you. The big text and the prices in search. Do content managers, copywriters need to know any new techniques or hacks, such thing, or is it just standard SEO, standard content optimization techniques?
Yeah, the way that our approach to that is always, we want you guys to build a website for your users, and it's our job to make sure that our searcher and crawler really understands the markup that you use. I think over time, over the next few years, there's going to be more and more kind of semantic markup, making it into the HTML kind of standards. And as that does, obviously we'd love for people to use it. But right now, just continue to code your websites as you want your users to see them, and we'll do our best to extract the useful information for those pages.
Cool, thanks.
Hi there. Just a question on the extra content that you've got on the page. And it seems like Google's pushing it to be more of a portal. Just wondering what balance you guys are striking in terms of having enough content on the Google search experience as opposed to then discouraging people then going to the site itself.
Sure. Well, so, I mean, with all of these things, our metrics, we talked about KPIs a little bit earlier. Google is obsessively focused on KPIs, no more so than the search quality team. And those guys, have metrics that have effectively remained pretty stable over the last, 11 years in terms of measuring the quality of the experience that we're giving to users. And those metrics are about the time to task completion for a user. go onto Google wanting to perform a specific task. We want to get the user to get off and perform that task as quickly as possible. And so all of those, all of those changes to the search page basically have to stack up against that sort of metric, which is why, oftentimes, we require the user to activate them, because we found that maybe they're not optimal for the average experience, but maybe they are optimal for certain experiences and certain walks through the path, through the site. Cool. Okay, great. Thank you very much.